What's going on, everyone? So I just want to say I spoke this into existence. You're all very welcome. But no, in all seriousness, the Dallas Mavericks, a lot of talks about a potential fire sale with Dallas. Conversation and question of like, did Dallas kind of pull the trigger on firing Nico a little too quickly? Anthony Davis wasn't healthy. Kyrie wasn't healthy. Derek Lively hasn't been healthy, right? How much of it is like, hey, you just don't have your guys, right? But Dallas was supposed to be a team that was super deep, super talented, super versatile, had all these things and ready to win a championship and all that stuff, right? Look at a team like the Lakers. No LeBron, for up until this point, right? Top of that, Luka and Austin Reeves have missed games over the course, right? And Lakers still keep winning. And so it's kind of like, it felt inevitable, right? Nico Harrison was going to be the scapegoat for the Dallas Mavericks, that Nico was going to be the guy that ends up getting fired at some point. Because again, you trade a generational talent. Cooper Flag could end up being a super duper star. He could end up being a top 10 player in all of basketball, all of it, right? And he'll still never be as good as Luka Doncic. Right? Again, Luka, you're talking about a guy that is top 2 or 3 in basketball, one of the greatest offensive engines we've ever seen, a truly generational talent. You just don't get off of guys like that. So you knew that this was going to be inevitable. You knew Nico was going to end up being the fall guy for Dallas, and he is. And now it's like, okay, well, what do you do? Probably in your best interest to trade and build around Cooper Flag and sell Anthony Davis to highest bidder and Kyrie Irving and all these guys, right? Now, personally, if I'm the Lakers, and I talked about this in a previous video, and you might be thinking, oh, Tyler, why? I know it was a joke, Tyler, but why did you joke that you were the one that spoke this into existence? Because I made a video about Dallas and how I thought Dallas could make a great trade partner. And I even said that, hey, they might end up firing Nico Harrison. And so, right? Again, it was a joke, but talked about it in that video. And I even said in that video, personally, I don't want Anthony. I love Anthony Davis. He is fantastic. I think DeAndre Ayton gives you what you need. I think what you'd have to give up and trade to get Anthony Davis, I think you can solve a lot of the same things with some lower tier guys, right? Lakers have clear needs. And I just think DeAndre Ayton's giving you everything you need. LeBron James, when he comes back, he's going to slot in at the 4, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to move LeBron to the 3 now? I personally, I just think you stick to the way it is. And Dallas figured out the same thing that the Lakers figured out. Anthony Davis is best at the 5, right? Dallas is at their best when Anthony Davis is playing the 5. Right? So again, that would be something. So question becomes then, okay, Dallas is going to have a fire sale at some point. Okay, obviously they're not trading Cooper Flag because he's their future and franchise cornerstone. And they're definitely not going to trade Derek Lively, right? Because those are your 2 building blocks. Now Cooper Flag can properly, in my opinion, I think he's a 4. I said it coming into the league and everyone was like, no, he's a 3 and all this other, and look, we've seen Jason Kidd basically slot him in 1 through 3, and it just is where I think he's a 4 in this league. I think where he'll be able to best maximize his skill set in action is at the 4, right? So to me, I think Derek Lively and Cooper Flag are your backcourt or your front court. Sorry. I think that's your 4 and your 5. Okay. Then from there, it's like, okay, is everybody else for sale? I mean, if I was them, and it pains me to say this because he's kind of the only guy I really want back, is Max Christie. If I was them, I'm not trading Max Christie either. Because again, Max Christie's 22 years old. So now you have Max Christie, Cooper Flag, and Derek Lively as your foundation pieces. I'd probably keep Jaden Hardy, right? Because you could have Jaden Hardy be your 2, Christie be your 3, Flag be your 4, Lively be your 5, at least for now until you get something better. Not trading Ryan Nembhard because he could literally be your point. So you could have Nembhard be your 1, so on and so forth, right? So where does that leave us, right? Well, Daniel Gafford, okay. I don't think it's something that we should rush or necessarily need desperately. It's not something that to me, it just depends on the asking price. You can say that for all these guys, right? But like what's the asking price? To me, there's only outside of Max Christie, assuming that they won't trade Max Christie. If they do, you get Max Christie. But let's assume that they won't. They're not, basically anybody 23 or younger, they're not trading, right? So to me, you have guys like, again, Anthony Davis, I would stay away from. Let him go to the highest bidder. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. I love Kyrie Irving, but I just think Austin Reeves has been fantastic. Best ability is availability. Austin Reeves has just been healthier. Right? I just don't think Kyrie is what this Lakers team needs, especially at his age, all that stuff, injury issues. There was a point in time where literally a lot of my success as a YouTuber is because of Kyrie Irving and him potentially coming to Lakers a couple years ago. That's actually the year that I started doing YouTube and started this channel and all that stuff. So, but I'd stay away from him. Then Najee Marshall, that's one of the guys. Talk about a guy 6'6", 6'7". He's 27 years old, right? A guy that can slot in, really, 2 through 4 for you. He's probably more of a wing. You want him at the 2 or the 3. Guy that can knock down the 3 ball, create a little bit for himself, create a little bit for others, hit shots, have some familiarity with Luka. He's a guy that I would really go after. He's making $9 million, so he's very obtainable. He's a guy that you could absolutely go and trade for. He's a guy that other teams I think would be invested in, but I don't think you'd have to sell the farm to go get him. He's not like a higher end role, like starting 3 guy, like where it's like, man, he's going to yield multiple firsts or something like that. On the Lakers, he might be, because the Lakers don't really have anybody like him. But he's a guy I would look for as like an added, like a guy off the bench. Like you still go get, an Andrew Wiggins or whatever. And then you also have Najee Marshall as a guy that come off the bench and just be that veteran that can be that 3-and-D guy for you. That can start in a pinch for you, come off the bench. You could even have units where you have like Luka, Andrew Wiggins, Najee Marshall, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton out there, right? Like just do different things like that. So Najee Marshall, definitely on that list. Caleb Martin, I'd stay away from. Dwight Powell, I'd stay away from. D'Lo, obviously stay away from. Klay Thompson, I would personally stay away from Klay Thompson. I talked about this in a Klay video because Klay is expected to be shopped and all that, and Lakers reports leaked to him. I think a lot of that is it's Klay Thompson and the Lakers. I would stay away from Klay Thompson if it's just like that's all your trade. Like you're just making a trade for Klay Thompson. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. If you could use Klay Thompson as a way to get somebody like a Max Christie and do a bigger deal, do like Max Christie, Daniel Gafford, and a Klay Thompson. And it's like, hey, we're helping you get off of Daniel Gafford's contract long-term. We're helping you get off of Klay Thompson's contract, right? I would do that. Like if you could use Klay Thompson to get somebody else, I would do that because I actually think Klay Thompson will be very good on the Lakers. Very good on the Lakers because again, Dallas doesn't have any playmaking. They're running Cooper Flagg, who is a 6'9" forward, as their starting point guard. Like, Klay Thompson is not going to be great, especially at this stage of his career. He's not a guy that can self-create like he once did and shoot off the dribble like he once did. He is a guy that that's why he went to Dallas, was so he could play alongside Luka, because he could play off ball and just kind of float the baseline, right? And just be there as the outlet for Luka, catch and shoot. That's all he was there to do. Try to buy in some level of defense, but really just catch and shoot. I don't hate the idea of Klay Thompson as our like Dalton Connect replacement. Right? Because I think he will be fantastic. I don't think he's going to be, prime Klay Thompson, but I do think he's going to be very good. I think he'd be like, wow, this guy would be great. You also got to keep in mind, Klay Thompson wouldn't be our first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, even maybe eighth guy. You'd be looking for him to basically be your probably seventh, eighth, ninth guy, really. So the role that he'd be playing on the Lakers compared to Dallas and even Golden State would just be very different, right? So you'd be looking for him to come off the bench and provide that shooting and bench scoring, right? But he's a guy, it's his playoff experience, his game experience. He's a guy that could still go win you a game, right? He just catches fire and that's it. It's game over. So I wouldn't hate it if, again, you could go and do it right. But then the last guy would be PJ Washington. Again, 27 years old, 6'7", 6'8", versatile wing, can slot in at the 3, slot in at the 4. Basically, Rui, but with better defense and athleticism, right? Like, and PJ Washington, to his credit, when he came over from Charlotte, he was not looked at as a defensive guy at all. He was looked at as, again, like a Rui Hachimura, a guy that can go get you buckets, but that's basically it. Probably best off the bench in like a scoring role. And then he got traded to Dallas and just fully bought into the defensive side of things and was in many ways their defensive anchor, right? Particularly out on the perimeter. And was just excellent. I mean, he was taking the toughest assignments every night and everything, doing it with success. So I would love if you could bring in like a PJ Washington. So to me, obviously Max Christie and all those guys would be fantastic. But I don't think that if you're going to rebuild, you're not trading those 22, 23-year-olds, right? So to me, it's really Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. And then if I can get like, somebody else, or, if we could get a Najee and a PJ Washington, but we have to take Clay, maybe, right? Instead of giving up assets, it's like, all right, fine, we'll take on Clay too. It just depends on how that folds out. But anyways, always, this is a discussion. I pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.